I still remember the exact moment my life changed. It was a cold Thursday evening. 3 days earlier, I had lost my job. After 12 years with the same company, they called everyone into a conference room and announced layoffs. My name was on the list. Just like that, my paycheck disappeared. I wasn't rich. I didn't have millions in savings. But I wasn't irresponsible either. For 12 years, I had been helping my parents pay their mortgage. Every month, without fail. Sometimes, I skipped vacations. Sometimes, I drove old cars. Sometimes, I worked weekends.
Why?
Because family was supposed to help family. At least, that's what I believed. That evening, I pulled into my parents' driveway feeling defeated. I just wanted to go inside, sit in my room, and figure out my next step. I walked to the front door, put my key in the lock, and froze. The key wouldn't turn. I tried again. Nothing. Again. Nothing. My stomach dropped. Maybe the lock was broken. Then the door opened. My mother stood there. She didn't look surprised. She looked uncomfortable. Behind her stood my father. Neither of them smiled. Neither of them invited me inside. And suddenly, I knew something was wrong. Something very wrong. The room that disappeared. Mom, my voice shook. What happened to the lock? She avoided eye contact. Then she stepped aside. I looked inside the house. And my heart nearly stopped.
My room was gone.
The furniture. The photos. The desk I had owned since college. Everything.
Gone.
In its place sat my younger brother Ryan's belongings. New gaming setup. New television. New furniture. I stared in disbelief. What is this? No one answered. Ryan appeared from the hallway, wearing a grin. The kind of grin that told me he already knew everything. I moved in last week. Last week? I looked at my parents. You let him move into my room? My father crossed his arms. You don't live here anymore. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've been living here for years. You have a job, Mom said quietly. Had a job. The room fell silent. Then came the words that shattered me. We can't carry you. For 12 years, I had helped carry them. But after 3 days unemployed, they couldn't carry me? I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath my feet. And then my phone buzzed. A text from Mom, even though she was standing 5 feet away. We can't carry you anymore. You'll understand someday. I stared at the message and realized something painful. They had already made their decision. Long before I arrived home. The golden child. Ryan had always been the favorite. Everyone knew it. Even him. While I worked, Ryan drifted from one idea to another. One month he wanted to start a business. The next month he wanted to become an influencer. Then a musician. Then a trader. Nothing ever lasted. Whenever he failed, my parents rescued him. Again. And again. And again. Meanwhile, I became the responsible child. The dependable one. The one who fixed problems. Paid bills. Handled emergencies. When the mortgage payment was late, I helped. When the roof leaked, I helped. When Dad needed medical treatment, I helped. No one forced me. I did it because I loved them. But standing in that doorway, I began wondering something. Had they ever appreciated it? Or had they simply expected it? Ryan leaned against the wall. So, where are you staying? I looked at him. He wasn't concerned. He was enjoying this. My father handed me a box. Inside were random belongings they had packed for me. 12 years. Reduced to one cardboard box. I took it silently. No yelling. No arguing. No begging. Because something inside me had broken. I walked back to my car. And drove away. While my parents closed the door behind me. As if I had never lived there at all. Starting from nothing. The next few weeks were brutal. I moved into a tiny motel room. I spent every day applying for jobs. The savings I had built slowly started shrinking. At night, I replayed everything. Every mortgage payment. Every sacrifice. Every holiday, I worked extra shifts. Every time, I put their needs ahead of my own. And the anger kept growing. Not because they refused to help me, but because of how quickly they erased me. Then one morning my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Hello. A man's voice came through. Is this Emily Carter? Yes. My name is David. I'm calling from Harrison Financial. I frowned. I think you have the wrong person. There was a pause. Then he said something strange. Actually, I don't think I do. My heart started beating faster. What is this about? The banker took a deep breath. It concerns an account connected to your late grandmother. My grandmother? I hadn't heard that name mentioned in years. And what he said next changed everything. My grandmother Eleanor had died 7 years earlier. Before she passed away, she and I were extremely close. But after her funeral, life moved on.
Or so I thought.
The banker explained that Eleanor had created a trust, a private account, one that couldn't be accessed until specific conditions were met. Apparently, those conditions had recently been satisfied. I sat in stunned silence. How much money are we talking about? The banker hesitated. Then he told me. The number made my jaw drop. Several $1,000,000. I nearly dropped the phone. There must be a mistake. There isn't. Then came another surprise. My grandmother had left a letter. A personal letter. For me. When I received it 2 days later, I opened it with shaking hands. The words inside brought tears to my eyes. She wrote, "You were always the one who cared for others. But I worried nobody would care for you when you needed it most." I stopped reading. My eyes blurred. Then I continued. If you're reading this, life has probably become difficult. Remember this. Kindness is a strength, but never allow others to mistake it for weakness. She knew.
Somehow she knew.
And suddenly, everything made sense. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope. Real hope. The family comes back. News travels fast, especially when money is involved. Within days, my phone exploded. Missed calls, texts, voicemails. Ryan called first, then Dad, then Mom. People who hadn't checked on me once after throwing me out suddenly wanted to reconnect. What a coincidence. Mom left a voicemail. Honey, we miss you.
No.
They miss the money. Dad sent a message. Families shouldn't fight. Interesting. He hadn't said that when I was standing outside with nowhere to go. Ryan was even worse. He called asking about investment opportunities. As if nothing had happened. As if he hadn't laughed while my life fell apart. I ignored them all. But eventually, they requested a meeting. And I agreed. Not because I wanted reconciliation. Because I wanted answers. And because they needed to hear the truth. The truth finally comes out. We met at a restaurant. The moment I arrived, I could see the fake smiles. The forced kindness. The sudden affection. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled it away. Silence filled the table. Then Dad spoke. We made mistakes. I nodded. Finally, some honesty. But then he ruined it. We thought you would recover quickly. There it was. The excuse. Not accountability. An excuse. I looked at all three of them and calmly told them everything. How abandoned I felt. How humiliating it was to discover my room had been erased. How painful it was realizing my value disappeared the moment my paycheck stopped. No one interrupted, because deep down, they knew I was right. Then I asked one question. If I never inherited anything, would you be sitting here today? Nobody answered.
Not one of them.
That silence said everything. Ryan stared at the table. Dad looked away. Mom began crying. But even then, nobody denied it. Because they couldn't. Justice and a new beginning. I paid for my meal. Only my meal. Then I stood up. Before leaving, I said something my grandmother once told me. The people who truly love you stay when you have nothing. Then I walked away. And this time, I didn't look back. Months later, I bought my own home. Not a mansion. Not something flashy. Just a beautiful place that belonged to me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't supporting everyone else. I was building my own future. My parents tried reaching out again. Sometimes I answered. Sometimes I didn't. But things were never the same. Trust, once broken, doesn't magically return. Ryan eventually moved out. The mortgage problems returned. And for the first time, they had to solve their own issues, the way they expected me to solve mine. As for me, I found a new job, a better one. I built a new life. And every time I unlocked my front door, I remembered that painful night. Not with anger, but with gratitude. Because losing everything revealed the truth. And the truth set me free. Moral of the story. Sometimes the people you sacrifice the most for are the first to abandon you when you need help. But betrayal has a strange way of revealing who truly belongs in your life. Never measure your worth by what you can provide for others. The people who only love your usefulness were never truly loving you. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't getting even. It's building a life so strong that their betrayal no longer has power over you.
The end.